Hello, my awesome network. How are you all? Hope everyone is having a great week and a lovely Wednesday. Let me first check. I want to make sure that I went live because um, yes. I'm live now. Hello again. I'm live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and on Twitter. Uh, as you know, I kind of share a video every Wednesday of every week. But I go live every first Wednesday of every month. That's live on YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So feel free to, if you're online now and you're seeing my video, watching the live, please chat, say hello, where are you from, where are you logging from, because I'm keeping an eye on the chat as well. But equally, if you're watching this on replay, feel free to share your thoughts and I'll make sure to respond on all the three platforms. Today's topic, that's quite an interesting one. So, as you know, in the live session, it's more of either I have an author or I share my views. And I haven't been saying where my views are kind of, if I'm writing a view, where is that, like, where was that article published? Where is it, where the article is published and where you can actually read it. So in this session, I'm actually discussing one of the articles that was published in Strategic Finance magazine. I have the magazine here. And the topic is ethics and data and analytics go hand in hand. So that's the article that I'm going to share with you today. The article is peer reviewed, which means that someone else has read it, they have put their thoughts on it, and basically made sure that it's relevant, both relevant for professionals and peer reviewed really. In today's session, I'm just going to cover really ethics and data analytics, how they go hand in hand. And that is really very important. Ethics and data and analytics are quite closely linked. You can't really separate them. And the way I see them is they both kind of have an effect on each other and they can be useful for each other. And with that, I'm just going to cover the five main things that kind of stands out for me. That doesn't mean that data and analytics and ethics, those are the only five things to be considered. I'm just giving examples. And those are kind of five main examples. Let's first agree on when I say data and analytics, what that covers. When I say data analytics, it's basically data analytics and analytics function, basically that sits underneath the chief data officer. So it covers things like data governance, artificial intelligence, data science, visualization, data engineering, the new topics as well, like the metaverse and so on, if the company uses it, digital twin, and so on. The five main things that I'll kind of cover today, I'll start with basically ethics and data governance, which is quite an important thing to consider when you look at ethics. Data governance is quite important and it covers so many things. It covers obviously the fields that you have, how you govern the data, applying things like PII, GDPR if you're in Europe. And it's quite an interesting area because you really need to monitor those fields. When you look at ethics, you need to understand where are those fields located, how many times are they updated, are they relevant to the area or the if you're doing a model or something, are they relevant to what you're looking at, who owns the fields. Those are all kind of really ethical considerations when you look at the data itself and you're governing the data within the organization. And they are very important to consider. I always say it's important to have data democratization, which means everyone needs to be able to have access to the data within the organization. But that has to be governed properly, because there is some data that can't be shared together. Because in this case, this is when you're kind of really don't want to share personal information or things that are, whether security, there are things that they're just security wise is not possible to share. And those are the things where you need to really understand and govern properly. So data democratization, but done ethically and within governed properly. So that's the first thing when I say ethics and data governance, and that is really important. The second thing I want to speak about is ethics and AI. When we speak about artificial intelligence, there are so many things like creating a model, making sure that the data that feeds the model is actually correct and it is relevant. Let's agree that first that artificial intelligence as a whole um, doesn't really think as a human. So basically, they'll not when you create an artificial intelligence when there is AI is not will not act unethically, will not act unethically on purpose, because it doesn't really think as a human. We program it. So it's basically, you need, if you want it to think ethically, you need to feed it the right values. It doesn't have values. We tell it what the values are and how to consider them. We program it with the right modeling. And basically, what we need to do is be very explicit, because AI is very smart. It's kind of really not that smart. So you need to tell it what is right and what is wrong explicitly. So that's ethics and AI. So it's really important when you're there is obviously the unconscious bias, and there's so many consideration. But that's the bit where ethics needs to always be on your mind when you're if you're doing AI, artificial intelligence. You need to really think about ethics, the implications of it at every step, because yeah, as I said, artificial intelligence on its own doesn't really think. It needs to be programmed. So that's the second thing. So we said, yeah, we need to consider ethics in the data governance, in the data itself, in the sources of the data. We need to consider it when we're doing the programming for AI. But also the other thing that is really important, and a lot of the times when I speak with leaders or in meetings or in conferences, even when I meet, sometimes when I see some, presentations, it's quite interesting because you have the data visualization and everything, but you feel like the data somehow is kind of cherry picked. So only the data points that are relevant where are kind of shared. And that's the bit where this is where the ethical bits comes in. If you're sharing something or suggesting a recommendation or whatever, you need to really try to be very neutral. And when you're presenting it, you're just showing facts and data. You can say your recommendation and explain why, but just make sure that you're not cherry picking and you're not picking the right relevant data for what you want and ignoring others. And sometimes, to be honest, it can be even done subconsciously. So it's just being careful and keeping that at the back of your mind when you're doing data visualization, or you know things like scaling graphs and things like that. There's so many considerations to visualization and ethics. So that's another topic when you look at ethics and data and analytics. Definitely visualization is very important, and you need to kind of take this extra care. The fourth thing, when I look at data and analytics and ethics, I look at analytics communication. And again, I've seen it like been working for years now, and I've seen it in different organizations. I've seen it when I'm doing consulting projects, whether volunteering or for charity. Seen it even when I'm giving, I'm being a guest lecturer or speaking about things. The communication, you need to really try to make sure that whatever is communicated very ethically, very transparent, because there are things like, as I said, the unconscious bias is still present in communication. Sometimes we do it subconsciously, and just having this at the back of your mind while communicating, but equally being very transparent there is a challenge with a model, for example, the data, you don't feel you're 100% confident in the data because it's not, collected properly, or it's not updated, or there's any challenges. You just need to be very sure, because this can cost the organization its reputation. Simple as that. So be very transparent. Say, take this with a pinch of salt. Those are the challenges that we're facing, or this is the caveat for that model. This is the caveat for this analysis. Just make sure to bring your stakeholders on board. Equally, again, if you're operating in a project, it's taking a long timeline. Again, communication needs to be very transparent and very ethical. And who worked for me, who worked with me in projects and in my teams, they know that it's really important. I always say communication, communication, and communication, and be very transparent. It's really important. The last thing I want to cover, or I mentioned in the article, was data and analytics and how it can support ethics. So this is a very interesting. So throughout the video at the start and in the start of the articles, I've been discussing how actually you need to consider ethics in data and analytics. But equally, data and analytics is quite powerful. It can actually flash out challenges and issues before they occur. It can show you patterns. It can show you challenges, which is very, very important. So, really, if an organization is looking at ethics and making sure that it is being very ethical and looking at all that, is utilizing data and analytics is very, very powerful. And with that, those are really the five main things that I wanted to share with you today when it comes to ethics and data and analytics. As I said, ethics supports analytics, and equally, analytics is so powerful and can flag out issues. Um, it the topic is really very important, and it's very challenging, especially with the technology that's been advancing all the time. I always mention it at work. Um, in conferences and networking events, ethics is very important, and it has its challenges. It's just because this field of data and analytics is really maturing as we are in it now. So this concludes kind of the video for today. As I said, I'll put the link to the article that I've written in the comments, and hopefully I'll see you next Wednesday in the recorded video, and I'll see you live in June, first Wednesday in June. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye.